Yo, it's mad fucking loud. Oh. All I hear is my fucking dog in the background. It's so loud in the back. It's so loud in the back. Hey, it's so loud in the back. Yeah. Happy Monday. What's up? What's up? Yo. My microphone is picking up everything right now. So there she is. There's my girl. I can literally hear like my dog right now. Do you hear that? You can hear that, right? My weekend was straight. How was yours? He knows I was loud as fuck and he just looked at me crazy. Like, that shit was loud and he goes... How was your weekend? Damn, where are you going? That was not smooth at all. Not smooth at all. Take me with you, the book. I want to go. The hell is your problem? I'm serious. I want to go to Vegas. That shit sounds so cool. Ocean is being way too loud. I want to go. And this fucking sounds right now. Like, why did I never think of this before? Better than the last time, which me. What do you mean by that? That was the best fucking username you could come up with, Pam. What's that? A hat. Crazy funky chunky hat over there. Pictures lately. Look like Karen Knightley. We've been there, we done that. We see right through your funky hat. Squeaky hat. My fucking microphone keeps going out. God damn. They didn't even go nowhere. Like the poke. Silly Billy. Oh, you silly, silly goose. Damn, I need a new chair. Because I need a new chair now. Shit is annoying. Okay. I don't even remember where I left off at. Okay, sorry. Sounds like Fast and Furious. Because it fucking is. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, but they do too much here. Like, shut up. Minutes later. Oh. That's on you, Pam. Oh, thank you so much for the bits. Okay. 20 minutes later, they're sitting on a bench facing the duck pond in Boston Common. Jared called Mac. Chuck and Janice helped Jared pack up his kit and load it in the back of the van. What? Oh, I see what's going on here. I don't know why that didn't process in my head. Okay, hold on. Low-key, that ear was irritating me. Now we're good. A few people. What the fuck is wrong with this microphone right now? A few people hung out congratulating them, offering high fives, adding a few more bucks to the overflowing hat. When they're rolling, Chuck and Jen. That's literally what this is right now, because I don't know why this. I don't know if it's my headphones or the fucking mic. Oh no. When they're rolling, Chuck and Jen is sitting side by side in the back seat, their feet planted, I can't read, planted among stacks of comic books. Max says they'll never find parking next to the common. We will today. Jared says today it's magic, and they Oh. At this point, there's over $400 in all. Jared has never had such a day. Never expected to. He sets aside max 10%. Mac is currently standing at the edge of the pond, feeding the ducks from a package of peanut butter crackers he happened to have in his pocket, then begins to divvy up the rest. Oh no, Janice says, when she understands what he's doing. That's yours. Janet shakes his head. Nope, we split even. Oh, I said Janet, I meant Jared. Jared shakes his head. Nope, we split even. By myself, I wouldn't have made half this much, even if I jumped until midnight. Not that the cops would ever allow such a thing. Sometimes I clear $30, and that's on a good day. Chuck has the beginnings of one of his headaches and knows it's apt to be bad by 9 o'clock. But the young man's earnestness makes him laugh just the same. Alright, I don't need it, but I guess I earned it. He reaches out and pats Janice's cheek, just as he sometimes used to pat the cheek of the lead singer's body-mouthed little sister. So did you, young lady? Okay, first of all, if I'm the goddamn drummer boy on the side of the road and I made $400, I'm not splitting it. The fuck? The businessman has hella money, like he's rich as fuck. The fuck is he doing? Okay. Where did you learn to dance like that? Jared asked Chuck. Well, there was an extracurricular called twirlers and whoa. I felt that engine in my fucking soul. Well, there was an extracurricular called twirlers and spinners back in middle school, but it was my grandma who showed me the best moves. You? He asked Janice. Pretty much the same. High school dances. Where did you learn to drum? Self-taught. Like you, he says to Chuck. You were great by yourself, man, but the chick added a whole extra dimension. We could do this for a living, you know it. I really think we could busk our way to fame and fortune. For a mad moment, Chuck actually considers it and sees the girl as too, not in a serious way, but in the way you daydream of an alternate life. One where you play pro baseball or climb Mount Everest or duet with Bruce Springsteen at a stadium concert. I don't know who these people are. Then Chuck laughs some more and shakes his head as the girl tucks her third of the dig into her purse. She also laughing. It was really all you, Jared says to Chuck. What made you stop in front of me? And what made you start moving? I'm weak, thanks, Stormy. Stormy, baby. You look like mommy, baby. Chuck thinks that over, then shrugs. He could say it was because he was thinking about that old half-ass band, the Retros, and now he liked to dance across the stage during the instrumental breaks. Oh, thank you. Showing off swinging that Mike stands between his legs, but that's not it. In get in before you go. Group hug. They join him. Chuck knows they can smell his sweat. This suit will have to be dry cleaned before he wears it again, and strenuously, and he can smell theirs. It's all right. He thinks the girl nailed it when she used the word magic. Sometimes there is such a thing, not much, but a little, like finding a forgotten 20 in the... Oh my god, literally, like finding a forgotten 20 Like, what the fuck? Uh-oh, I'm about to break it. You see how it's going down? Why is it doing that? I'm good, how are you? Okay, back to the book. I hope all is well with you as well. How are you? Oh my god, these jets never stop at this point. Okay. He can't remember having bad headaches like this in his whole life. Not until a couple months ago, that is. He supposes if they keep up, he'll have to see a doctor. He supposes he knows what this might be. All that's for later, though. If at all. Tonight he thinks he'll treat himself to a good dinner. Why not? He's earned it, and a glass of wine. I want a glass of wine. On second thought, make it Evian. I would like some Evian. Or Avion. The fuck? Wine might intensify his headache when he's finished his meal. Dessert definitely included. He'll call Kitty and tell her that her husband might be the next one-day internet sensation. That probably won't happen. Somewhere right now, someone is undoubtedly filming a dog juggling empty soda bottles, and someone else is memorizing a goat, smoking a cigar, but it's better to get out front with it, just in case. As he passes the place where Jared set up his drums, those two questions recur. Why did you stop to listen, and why did you start to dance? He doesn't know, and would answers make a good thing better? Yo, what the fuck are they doing outside? At this point, I'm about to just get my normal microphone because that shit is mad fucking loud. Like, what the fuck? Later, he will lose the ability to walk. Never mind dancing with little sister on Boylston Street. Later, he will lose the ability to chew food, and his meals will come from a blender. Later, he will lose his grip on the difference between waking and sleeping and enter a land of pain so great that he will wonder why God made the world. Later, he will forget his wife's name. Damn. What will he remember occasionally is how he stopped and dropped his briefcase and began to move his hips to the beat of the drums, and he will think that is why God made the world. Just that. Hi babe, how are you? Excuse me. Hello, 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 hello. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now we're on the fucking connoisseur. I don't even know how to spell connoisseur. That is one fucking word I don't know how to spell. I know. Like, ma'am, why is that shit so fucking loud? I'm about to, who is this texting my phone talking about what are you doing tonight? Oh. The cars are loud as fuck. Are you reading? Hold on, I'm trying to read what you're saying. Are you reading this scary story or it's part of the game? What game are you talking about, bro? Like, what are you talking about? Where did I come from? My daddy's neck. Let's do a Q&A. Let's put a smile on that face. Why are you so serious? Wait, I'm gonna try to do it. Why so serious? Okay, bam. Q&A, let's go. Ask me a question. Yep, this is Sober Maria's Guide. It's fucking great. I'm a Capricorn. Big Capricorn. What do I think of Germans? I think they're German. How long can you keep your eyes open for? I don't know. That's a weird question. Capricorn, the devil. No, we are not. You're the devil. Excuse me, sir, that was not a question. God damn. I'm gonna go get a regular microphone because this shit is loud. How is shit gonna stop all at once? That don't even make sense. How am I supposed to put it up on there? I don't know. I don't know, buddy. Can you hear me? Oh, wait, hold on. You hear me, buddy? Oh shit, everyone left. I don't know. Not everyone left, fam. How the fuck they made this shit to go with this shit? And there's nowhere to fucking put it up. Like, what was the point of that? I'm confused. This microphone goes with this mic, like this thing. This hoe right here. But they didn't put any like little, unless it's under this. No, I'm just breaking it at this point. Or is it? Fam. Fam, I think I figured it out. I'm not doing this shit with the loud ass fucking cars. I'm just not. And the microphone keeps going out too. So ooh. I'll turn it back on if somebody wants heartbeats. But I'm not doing it. Because that shit is loud. Is this going on? I just broke it. Imagine. Oh my god, fam, it's not even going on. Why did I do this? Damn, it's not even twisting. Hold on, y'all not gonna hear me for a second. No, fam, what I need is a goddamn brain. Did y'all see what I was doing wrong? I'm a fucking imbecile. What I need is a goddamn brain. Why the fuck, and this is supposed to go like this. Why was I trying to twist it on the wrong way? I was going the wrong way and I was like, wait, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Okay, back to Q&A, fam, because that's lucky fun. Let's do Q&A. That was kind of fun. I like this. Is that better? Da 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 da. Are you talking about the front? Okay, hold on. Boom, like that. Can you hear me now? Yeah, I don't know what happened with the stream. Is that better though? Like the cars and shit? Because the cars were really loud. And the sirens and shit. Yeah, all good. Okay, cool. And then can you still hear me if I'm whispering like that? Why do I feel drunk? Oh, cool. It's lit, nigga. I mean, I didn't mean to say that. I'm really trying to stop saying cuss words. Okay, lit. Would I rather jump on clouds?
that's kind of a trick question because you can't really jump on the cloud, but I would love to just fall right through. If anyone has a therapist that they would like to now I really need the therapist because I just dropped my freaking expensive microphone. Damn, it dropped really bad. What if it's broken? What if I broke it? I think it's okay.
How did it fall? Oh, because it's a goddamn roly-poly.
Okay, sorry. I'm really getting through this book. When is this chapter going to be over with? If it bleeds on 161, I'm on 136. Fuck yeah, I'm so over this chapter. I feel drunk, and I just had sparkling water. Chuck was looking forward to having a baby sister. His mother promised he could hold her if he was very careful. Of course, he was also looking forward to having parents. But none of that worked out thanks to an icy patch on an I-95 overpass. What? His parents died? Yo, Stephen King's delivery is terrible. Something I can't cook without. Salt and pepper. Normal. Nope. Why would you do that? Damn, why would you do that? Now I'm hungry. As fuck. Now I'm thinking of food. You hear that goddamn jet? It's not as bad as it was though, huh? Much later in college, he would tell a girlfriend that there were all sorts of novels, movies, and TV shows where main characters' parents died in a car crash, but he was the only one he knew who'd had that happen in real life. The girlfriend thought this over, then rendered her verdict. I'm sure it happens all the time, although parents can also be taken in house fires, tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, avalanches while on ski vacations, all that. To name only a few of the possibilities. And what makes you think you're a main character in anything but your own mind? The girlfriend snapped. The girlfriend snapped. The roof is on fire. We don't know. Okay. Thanks. She was a poet and sort of nihilist. The relationship only lasted a semester. I don't know about y'all, but all of my relationships only last a semester anyways, so sounds fucking great. Sounds like a great fucking rodeo. I don't know why I just said that. That was not it. That was wrong. Oh. Just pay attention to these at this point. I can't come back from that.
She was a poet and sort of. Oh, I read that part. Chuck wasn't in the car when it went flying upside down from the turnpike overpass because his parents were having a dinner date and he was being babysat by his grandparents, who at that time he was still calling Sadie and Bubby. Albie and Sarah Krantz lived just a mile down the road, and it was natural enough for them to raise him after the accident. When he became When he became what he first believed to be an orphan, he was 7. For a year, maybe a year and a half, that was a house of unadulterated sadness. The Krantzes had not only lost their son and their daughter-in-law, they had lost a granddaughter who would have been born just 3 months later. The name had already been picked out, Alyssa. When Chuck said that sounded to him like rain, his mother had laughed and cried at the same time. He never forgot that. He knew his other grandparents, of course. There were visits every summer, but they were basically strangers to him. They called a lot after he became an orphan. You're basic. How are you doing? How's school goes? And the summer visits continued. Sarah, aka Bubby, aka Grandma, took him on the plane, but his mother's parents remained strangers, living in the foreign land of Omaha. They sent him presents on his birthday and at Christmas. The later especially nice since Grandma and Grandpa didn't do Christmas, but otherwise he continued to think of them as outliers. Thank you. Like the teachers who were left behind as he moved up through the grades. Thank you so much. Some of that good feeling came back home with them. Chuck sometimes heard Grandma. Wait, hold on, I just skipped a whole paragraph, I'm sorry. Chuck began to slip his metaphorical mourning garments first, necessarily pulling his grandparents out their own grief. There came a time when Chuck was 10 that they took the boy to Disney World. They had adjoining rooms at the Swan Resort. The door between the rooms kept open at night, and Chuck only heard his grandma crying once. Mostly they had fun. Some of that good feeling came back home with them. Chuck sometimes heard Grandma humming in the kitchen or singing along with the radio. There had been lots of takeout meals after the accident, and whole recyclable bins full of Grandpa's Budweiser bottles. But in the year after Disney World, Grandma began cooking again. Good meals that put weight on a formerly skinny boy. She liked rock and roll while she was cooking music. Hold on, because I do not acknowledge commas for some reason. She liked rock and roll while she was cooking music. Chuck would have thought much too young for her, but which she clearly enjoyed. If Chuck wandered into the kitchen looking for a cookie or maybe hoping to make a brown sugar roll up with a slice of Wonder Bread, Grandma was apt to hold out her hands to him and start snapping her fingers. Dance with me, Henry, she'd say.
I want to eat an edible. I'm sorry. But I want to eat an edible. But I shouldn't do that because then I'll be reading and then I won't know what I'm reading. Okay, so I'm just going to keep reading. I'm going to keep reading. Okay, where was I? His name was Chuck, not Henry, but he usually took her up on it. She taught him jitterbug steps and a couple of crossover moves. She told him there were more, but her back was too creaky to attempt them. I can show you though, she said, and one Saturday brought back a stack of videotapes from the Blockbuster store. Oh my god, I remember the Blockbuster store. I loved the Blockbuster store. There was Swing Time with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Oh my god, my titty's coming out. West Side Story and Chuck's favorite, Singing in the Rain, where Gene Kelly danced with the lamppost. You can learn those moves, she said. You're a natural, kiddo. He asked her once when they were drinking iced tea after an especially strenuous go to Jackie Wilson's Higher and Higher, what she had been like in high school. I was a cutest. I'm not sure what it is. But don't tell your Zadie I said that. He's old school, that one. Chuck never told. And he never went in the cupola. Not then. He asked about it, of course, and more than once. What was up there? What you could see from the window? Why the room was locked? Grandma said it was because the floor wasn't safe, that you might go right through it. Grandpa said the same thing, that there was nothing up there because of the rotten floor. And the only thing you could see from those windows was shopping center. Big deal. He said that until one night just before Chuck's 11th birthday, when he told at least part of the truth. Thank you for the follows, y'all. Yo, what's up? Drinking is not good for secrets. Everybody knows that. And after the death of his son, daughter-in-law, and granddaughter-to-be, Albie Grants drank a great deal. He should have brought stock in Anheuser-Busch. I drink and I don't even know how to say that. That was how much he drank. He could do it because he was retired and comfortably off and very depressed. Yes, I'm doing good. How are you? After the trip to Disney World, the drinking tapered off to a glass of wine with dinner or a beer in front of a baseball game. You know, it's really hard to stop drinking when a fucking book that you're reading is even talking about drinking. Like, god damn. Mostly once in a while, every month, at first, every couple months later on, Chuck's grandpa tied one on, always at home and never making any fuss about it. The next day, he would move slowly and eat little until afternoon, then he was back to normal. Sorry, I burp a lot. One night, while watching the Red Sox get thumped by the Yankees, when Albie was well into his second six-pack of Bud, Chuck once more raised the subject of the cupola, mostly just to have something to talk about. With the Sox down by 9, the game wasn't exactly holding his attention. I bet you can see way past the Westford Mall, Chuck said. Grandpa considered this, then pushed the mute button on the TV controller, silencing an ad for Ford Truck Month. Grandpa said Ford stood for Fix or Repair Daily. I don't know who has a Ford in here, but you let me know if that's funny. Oh, where was I? Okay. I read a lot. This is just a book I'm reading right now. It's a storybook. I mostly read like self-help and shit. Do you know what style this house is, Chucky? Victorian, Chuck said. Yeah. That's right. Not pretend Victorian either. It was built in 1885. Been remodeled half a dozen times since, but the cupola was there from start. Your puppy and I bought it when the shoe business really took off, and we got it for a song. Been here since 1971, and in all of those years, I haven't been up to the damn cupola half a dozen times. Because the floor is rotted, Chuck asked, with what he hoped was appealing innocence. Because it's full of ghosts, Grandpa said. Chuck felt that chill again, not so pleasurable this time. Although Grandpa might be joking, he did joke from time to time these days. Jokes were to Grandpa what dancing was to Grandma. He tipped his beer, belched. His eyes were red. Christmas yet to come. Do you remember that one, Chucky? Chuck did. They watched A Christmas Carol every year on Christmas Eve, even though they didn't do Christmas otherwise. But that didn't mean he knew what his grandpa was talking about. The Jeffries boy was only a short time later, Grandpa said. He was looking at the TV, but Chuck didn't think he was actually seeing it. What happened? What the fuck, I can't read. What happened to Henry Peterson? That took longer. It was 4, maybe 5 years on. By then, I'd almost forgotten what I saw up there. He jerked a thumb at the ceiling. I said I'd never go up there again after that, and I wish I had it. Because of Sarah, your puppy, and the bread. It's the waiting, Chucky. That's the hard part. You'll find that out when the kitchen door opened. It was Grandma back from Mrs. Stanley's across the street. Grandma had taken her chicken soup because Mrs. Stanley was feeling poorly. So Grandma said anyway. But even at not quite 11, Chuck had a good idea there was another reason. Mrs. Stanley knew all the neighborhood gossip and was only willing to share. Grandma poured all the news out to Grandpa, usually after inviting Chuck out of the room, but out of the room didn't mean out of the earshot. Who was Henry Who was Henry Peterson, Grandpa? Chuck asked. But Grandpa had heard his wife come in. He straightened up in his chair and put his can of bud aside. Look at that, he cried in a passable imitation of sobriety. Not that Grandma would have been fooled. Those dogs have got the bases loaded. Yo, I need somebody to come rub my neck right here, because it hurts really bad. Like, really bad. In the top of the 8th, Grandma sent Grandpa down to the Sony's Gomar at the bottom of the block to get milk for Chuck's Apple Jacks in the morning. And don't even think of driving. The walk will sober you up. Grandpa didn't argue. With Grandma, he rarely did. And when he gave it a try, the results weren't good. When he was gone, Grandma, Bubby, sat down next to Chuck on the couch and put an arm around him. Chuck put his head on her comfortably padded shoulder. Was he blabbing to you about his ghost? The ones that live in the cupola? Yeah. There was no point in telling a lie. Grandma saw right through those. Are there? Have you seen them? I'm so glad. When I get through this chapter, I can give you a rundown of what's happened in the book. Hopefully. Do you like when I read, like if I'm talking like this, or do y'all like the whispering reading? Like, let me know. Oh shit, I don't know why, but this hurts right here. A mixture of both. I could try. Okay. Whisper. Someone said mixture. One person said whisper. Alright, I'm gonna wait for one more person to answer before I start reading again. Let me know. Do you want me to continue to read like this? Or do you want me to read like this? I'm burping so much. My quiet voice sounds nicer. So like this. Okay. I'm gonna kind of do both because one person said whisper, one person said both, and then another person said quiet voice. So we'll just kind of go back and forth then, I guess. Okay, so Grandma snorted. What do you think, Cantle? Later, it would occur to Chuck that this wasn't an answer. I wouldn't pay too much attention to Zadie. He's a good man, but sometimes he drinks a little too much. Then he rides his hobby horses. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Chuck did. Nixon should have gone to jail. The Fagales with the woke were taking over American culture and turning it pink. The Miss America pageant, which Grandma loved, was your basic meat show. But he had never said anything about ghosts in the cupola before that night, at least to Chuck. Bubby, who was the Jeffries boy? She sighed. That was a very sad thing, boy Chuck. He lived on the next block over and got hit by a drunk driver when he chased a ball into the street. It happened a long time ago. If your grandpa told you he saw it before it happened, he was mistaken, or making it up for one of his jokes. Grandma knew when Chuck was lying. On that night, Chuck discovered that was a talent that could go both ways. It was all in the way she stopped looking at him and shifted her eyes to the television, as if what was going on there was interesting. When Chuck knew Grandma didn't give a hang for baseball, not even the World Series. He just drinks too much, Grandma said, and that was the end of it. Maybe true, probably true, but after that, Chuck was frightened of the cupola, with its locked door at the top of a short 6 steps flight of narrow stairs, lit by a single bare bulb hanging on a black cord. The fascination, its fierce twin brother, and sometimes after that night, if both of his grandparents were out, he dared himself to climb them. He would touch the Yale padlock, wincing if it rattled, then hurry back down the stairs, looking over his shoulder as he went. It was easy to imagine the lock popping open and dropping to the floor, the door creaking open on its unused hinges. If that happened, he guessed he might die of fright. The cellar, on the other hand, wasn't a bit scary. It was brightly lighted by You can do better than that, she said. Time to step up your game, boy Chuck. Wait right there. I was just getting to the good part, Chuck said. She snorted a sound to which only Jewish puppies do true justice. There are no good parts in these, she said, and took the book away. What she came back with was the murder of Roger Ackroyd. Now this is a good mystery story, she said. No dumbucks, teenagers running around in jalopies. Consider this your introduction to actual writing. She considered. Okay, so not Sal Bellow, but not bad. Chuck started the book just to please Grandma and was soon lost. In his 11th year, he almost read 24 Agatha Christie's. He tried a couple about Miss Marple, but he was much fonder of Hercule Poirot with Are we good? Yeah? Good boy. Good boy. Make sure mommy's safe. Yeah, good boy. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good boy. Did y'all see that? He was snapping. What was it? Why'd you get so upset? Why'd you get so upset? Good boy. Good boy. He was like really mad. I don't know what he heard, but he didn't like that. Streaming for 2 hours. So I've been on for an hour 14. I'm gonna stream for another 46 hours, 46 minutes. I'm gonna get off. It's been a very long day. I woke up at 6 a.m. So yeah, but I do want to get through this chapter. So if I'm still reading the chapter, which I probably won't be because this chapter only have a few more pages. Okay, so where was I? Yes, I'm still on. Hi. Yeah, I'm still on. I mean, like, if y'all want me to stay on, I'll be on. I can stream till midnight. I can stream for 2 more hours. But I was only planning a 2-hour stream tonight. I'm so glad. How was your day? Where did you go anyways? Yeah, my dog really just snapped right now. Oh, so did you miss OJ snapping? I'm in love with your mic. Oh, you like it? Why you like my mic? Oh my god, okay. I don't know what he heard in the hallway just now or what, like what happened. I don't know what the fuck is going on. But he's not fucking with it. Like there was I was reading the book, Minding My Business, and I don't know if he heard something or felt something or what, but he like woke up out of his sleep and went to the door and is just like standing guard and like growling and barking, which like he'll like bark before if he's like, what's that? But I haven't heard him growl at the door in like a minute. So I don't know what it was, but he was not fucking with that. Oh, okay. Well, be safe while you're driving. Oh, you left my mic because I'm talking in it. You're stupid. Okay. Just got here. What kind of dog you got? I have a black German Shepherd. So he's very protective. Very protective. Okay, let's get back to the book. I don't know how to say this name. Poirot. It's okay. It's Poirot. What is that? Pirate. Poirot. Thank you for the follow. You guys, please sub, follow and sub and follow. Please sub. If you don't like advertisements, sub. Belgian, I don't know what that is, but I'm assuming they're protective. I don't know what a Belgian Malinois is. Okay. One day, I had a German Shepherd mixed with the Black Lab. Okay. Malinois. Oh, you're so cute, Bubba. You're so cute. You're a good boy. Love you. Alright, my bad. I was giving him some lovings. Oh, not everyone in here having a dog, yo. That's so cute. We all have a little doggy. Okay. One day during his summer vacation, Chuck was reading Murder on the Orient Express in the backyard hammock and happened to glance up at the window of the cupola far above. He wondered how Monsieur Perret would go about investigating it. Aha, he thought, and then voila, which was better. The next time Grandma made blueberry muffins, Chuck asked if he could take some to Mrs. Stanley. That's very thoughtful of you, Grandma said. Why don't you do that? Just remember to look both ways when you cross the street. She always told him that when he was going somewhere. Now with his little gray cells engaged, he wondered if she was thinking of the Jeffries boy. Grandma was plump and getting plumper, but Mrs. Stanley was twice her size, a widow who wheezed like a leaky tire when she walked and always seemed to be dressed in the same pink silk wrapper. Chuck felt vaguely guilty about bringing her treats that would add to her girth, but he needed information. She thanked him for the muffins and asked, as he'd been pretty sure she would, if he would like to have one with her in the kitchen. I could make tea. Thank you, Chuck. Thank you, Chuck said. I don't drink tea, but I wouldn't mind a glass of milk. When they were seated at the little kitchen table in a flood of June sunshine, Mrs. Stanley asked how things were going with Albie and Sarah. Chuck, mindful that anything he said in this kitchen would be on the street before the day was out, said they were doing fine. But because I don't know how to say that, said you had to give a little if you wanted to get a little, he added that Grandma was collecting clothes for the Lutheran homeless shelter. Your grandma's a saint, Mrs. Stanley said, obviously disappointed there wasn't more. What about your granddad? Did he get that thing on his back looked at? Yeah, Chuck said. He took a sip of milk. The doctor took it off and had it tested. It wasn't one of those bad ones. Thank God for that. Yes, Chuck agreed. Having given, he now felt entitled to get. He was talking with Grandma about someone named Henry Peterson. I guess he's dead. Maria telling story. He was prepared for disappointment. She might have never heard of Henry Peterson, but Mrs. Stanley widened her eyes until Chuck was actually afraid they might fall out, and grasped her neck like she had a piece of blueberry muffin stuck in there. Oh, that was sad, so awful. He was the bookkeeper who did your father's accounts, you know. Other companies, too. She leaned forward, her wrapper giving Chuck a view of Busking, so large it seemed hallucinatory. She was still clutching her neck. He killed himself, she whispered. Hung himself. Was he embezzling? Chuck asked. There was a lot of embezzling going in Agatha Christie books. Also blackmail. What? God, no. She pressed her lips together as if to keep in something not fit for the ear, such as beardless youth, as the one sitting across from her. If that was the case, her natural proclivity to tell everything, and to anyone, prevailed. His wife ran away with a younger man, hardly old enough to vote, and she was in her 40s. What do you think of that? The only reply Chuck could think of right off the bat was, wow. And that seemed to suffice. Back at home, he pulled his notebook off the shelf and jotted, G saw ghost of Jeffrey's boy not long before he died. Saw ghost of H. Peterson 4 or 5 years before he died. Chuck stopped chewing the end of his big, troubled. Huh? Not long before he died. How the fuck he seeing ghosts before he died? He didn't want to write what was in his mind, but felt that, as a good detective, he had to. Sarah and the bread. Did he see Grandma's ghost in the cupola? The answer seemed obvious to him. Why else would Grandpa have talked about how hard the waiting was? Now I'm waiting too, Chuck thought, and hoping that it's all just a bunch of bullshit. So they're seeing ghosts of the people before they die? What the fuck? Hold on, cuz my fucking back is hurting. I need to sit back really quick. You're really in the way. My dog is in the way. Okay. On the last day of 6th grade, Miss Richards, a sweet, hippy-dippy-ish young woman who had no command of discipline and would probably not last long in the public education system, tried to read. Chuck's class, some verses of Walt Whitman's Song of Myself. It didn't go well. The kids were rowdy and didn't want poetry, only to escape into the months of summer stretching ahead. Chuck was the same, happy to throw spitballs or give Mike and Derby the finger when Miss Richards was looking down at her book. But one line changed in his head and made him sit up straight. When the class was finally over and the kids set free, he lingered. Miss Richards sat at her desk and blew a strand of hair back from her forehead. When she saw Chuck still standing there, she gave him a weary smile. That went well, don't you think? Chuck knew sarcasm when he heard it, even when the sarcasm was gentle and self-directed. He was Jewish after all. Well, half. What does that mean when he says, I am large, I contain multitudes? That made her smile perk up. She propped one small fist on her chin and looked at him with pretty gray eyes. What do you think it means? pretty brown eyes. Something stuck in my head. All the people he knows? Chuck ventured. Yes, she agreed, but maybe he means even more. Lean forward. He leaned over her desk, where American verse lay on top of her grade book. Very gently, she put her palms to his temples. They were cool. They felt so wonderful he had to suppress a shiver. What's in there between my hands? Just the people you know. More? Chuck said. He was thinking of his mother and father and the baby he never got a chance to hold. Alyssa sounds like rain. Memories. What, Stormy? Yes, she said. Everything you see, everything you know. The world. Chucky. Planes in the sky. Manhole covers in the street. Every year you live, the world inside your head will get bigger and brighter, more detailed and complex. Do you understand? I think so, Chuck said. He was overwhelmed with the thought of a whole world inside the fragile bowl of his skull. He thought of the Jeffries boy hit in the street. He thought of Henry Peterson, his father's bookkeeper, dead at the end of a rope. He had nightmares about that. Their worlds going dark, like a room when you turned out the light. Oh, you're enjoying this story. That's great. Miss Richards took her hands away. She looked concerned. Are you all right, Chucky? Yes, he said. Then go on. You're a good boy. I've enjoyed having you in class. He went to the door, then turned back. Miss Richards, do you believe in ghosts? She considered this. I believe memories are ghosts, but spooks flapping along the halls of musty castles. I think those only exist in books and movies. And maybe in the cupola of Grandpa's house, Chuck thought. Enjoy your summer, Chucky. So far, the book is about, the first chapter covered this little boy. The little boy was like around, I believe, like 9 years old, and he read very well. He would go to church with his mother passed away. His dad took care of him alone, and his dad and him would go to church, and the boy would read books for the church or whatever. Read the Bible, obviously, for the church, and he read very well. And there was an old man that went to the church, but the old man is like from New York. He's like this hotshot millionaire type of guy, has plenty of stocks. He knows the stock market crazy, like Wall Street kind of guy, but also has companies, shit like that. And the guy hired him, the little boy, to read because he admired how well he read. And the little boy would go out and read to him all the time, every single day after school. And he just got to know him, and he would try to like show him like the iPhone when it first came out, like shit like that. Like they just got really close. And one day the little boy, when he was like around 13, I think, like walked into the house, and the old man was dead. Like he found him dead. So then, and mind you, like the dad didn't really care for him. He kind of was always snooty about the old man. And they went to his funeral, and some guy in a nice suit was like, I want to talk to you. And the dad starts laughing, and he's like, I bet you're in his will. So turns out when the old man died, he left the little boy $800,000. And the little boy he actually like grew to love this old man, and he didn't really care about the money or nothing. He was like, all right, cool. And he wasn't going to be able to access it until he was like 26 years old anyways. But so he had like showed the old man an iPhone, And when he found the old man dead, he took the iPhone because he had bought the iPhone for him. And he took the iPhone, he wrote him a note, and then he put the iPhone into his pocket when they were burying him. And he would call the phone like all the time, and he would hear the old man, like the old man's voicemail or whatever. And he would just talk to him about his day, and he'd be like, I miss you, and he would like cry or whatever, and then he'd go to sleep. It was kind of a routine for him, which is like kind of like super like not sick, but you know what I mean, like it's just not okay. And so yeah, that was like the first chapter, and he would tell him about stuff, and then like there was this little kid that was like bullying him, and he would think, what would the old man do? And he kind of was just like on some mama just leave it alone type shit. But then the boy kept bullying him, so he called the old man, and he was like, there's this boy that keeps bullying me, and I just wish that you were here to like tell me what to do. And then 2 days later, the little boy ended up dead, and he was like, okay, like, and he felt like it was his fault, but like he would tell like adults, and they were like, no, like it's not about you, like you're a little kid, and that's just what little kids think, that the world revolved around them, but it's not about you. And everyone kept lying about how the bully died, but the bully ended up dying like really fucking weird, but pretty much he killed himself. So then something else happened, like his favorite teacher got murdered, and he called up the old man's phone, who was dead, and he goes, hey, my favorite teacher got murdered, and the person that murdered her, like, it's not fair, like, he's getting away with it. And next thing you know, that guy ends up dead too, because he's calling, and he's like, okay, this is crazy. So it's kind of a book about a boy who got rich for reading about life. No, you're totally missing the whole thing. It's freaky, like, ghost shit that's happening. It's a book about ghost shit. And now this chapter is pretty much, the chapter I'm reading now is about, so when the old man passed away, the guy that came to talk to him, and I think that was him, the lawyer or whatever, that told him about the money. I don't know if it was him or what, but basically the old man had this guy that knew what to do with his money too, and he pretty much invested the money that was left for him. So now this chapter is about the investor guy, and it's just fucking, basically he passes away, but when he's like passing away, there's all these freakishly things happening, like a bank collapsed. It's like weird, crazy shit, like earth, like as if the world was ending, but everywhere in the signs and everywhere on the windows, it would be like, thank you so much for your years of service and great retirement. And it was just fucking weird, because it was like all of this weird shit is happening, and it's like the end of the world, but yet there's all these signs saying great retirement, and it wasn't even a retirement, dude was dying. So I don't know, that's what the book is like talking about so far, and then now it just talked about that ghost shit. So I don't know, I feel like I'm not gonna really know what is happening until the 3rd chapter for real. That's why I'm like trying to get to it, and this shit is low-key long. Like there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 chapters. The 5th one says author's note, and they're hundreds of pages long. I mean, most of Stephen King books are paranormal, no? Aren't they? Aren't most of Stephen King's books paranormal? All of the ones that I've read are. Stephen King, man. Stephen King. Okay, so where was I? You're an excellent reader. Oh, thank you so much. But yeah, so now y'all are pretty much caught up on what's happening. That's pretty much it, for real. We still don't know exactly why Chuck is dying. I just know that like his body's shutting down. And he's only 39 when he's passing away. And he has like a son that's a teenager. And his wife is still alive, yes. Yeah. And they're like pulling the plug on him. That's what I had remembered before it's going back into Chuck's like backstory and childhood. Just like the boy in the book. Alright, you're out of pocket. One fantasy called through the dragon's eyes. Okay. So where was I? You're a good boy. Enjoy your summer. Chuck did enjoy his summer until August when Grandma died. It happened. You know what's crazy? Like every time I go back to start reading, it's like, yeah, he enjoyed this until she died. Or yeah, that was great until he broke his nose. Like, yo, Stephen King, damn. Damn. Okay. It happened down the street in public, which was little undignified, but at least it was the kind of death where people can safely say, thank God she didn't suffer at the funeral. That other standby, she had a long, full life. It was in more of a gray area. Sarah Krantz had yet to reach her mid-60s, although she was getting close. Once more, the house on Pilchard Street was one of the unadulterated sadness. Only this time there was no trip to Disney World to mark the beginning of recovery. Chuck reverted to calling Grandma his bubby, at least in his own head, and cried himself to sleep on many nights. He did it with his face in his pillows so he wouldn't make Grandpa feel even worse. Sometimes he whispered, Bubby, I miss you. Bubby, I love you. Until sleep finally took him. Grandpa wore his morning band and lost weight, and stopped telling his jokes, and began to look older than his 70 years. But Chuck also sensed, or thought he did, some relief in his grandpa. If so, Chuck could understand. When you lived with dread day in and day out, there had to be relief when the dreaded thing finally happened and was over. Didn't there? He didn't go up the steps to the cupola after she died, daring himself to touch the padlock, but he did go down to Zoni's one day just before starting 7th grade at Acker Park Middle School. He bought a soda and a Kit Kat bar. Oh my God, I used to love Kit Kat bars. He bought a soda and a Kit Kat bar, then asked the clerk where the woman was when she had her stroke and died. The clerk, an over-tatted 20-something with a lot of greased black blonde hair, gave an unpleasant laugh. What kind of unpleasant laugh? Like, I don't even think I could reenact that. Oh, like, like that? Like, kid, that's a little creepy. Are you, I don't know, brushing up on your serial killer skills early? She was my grandma, Chuck said. My bubby. I was at the community pool when it happened. I came back in the house calling for her and Grandpa told me she was dead. That wiped the smile off the clerk's face. Oh man, I'm sorry. It was over there at third aisle. Chuck went to the third aisle and looked, already knowing what he would see. She was getting a loaf of bread, the clerk said. Pulled down almost everything on the shelf when she collapsed. Sorry if that's too much information. No, Chuck said, and thought, that's information I already knew. On his second day at Acker Park Middle School, Chuck walked past the bulletin board by the main office, then doubled back. Among the posters for pep club, band, and tryouts for the fall sports team, there was one showing a boy and girl caught in mid-dance step. He holding his hand up so she could spin beneath. Learn to dance, it said, above the smiling children, in rainbow letters. Below it, join twirlers and spinners, fall fling is coming, get out on the floor. An image of painful Clarity came to Chuck as he looked at this. Grandma in the kitchen holding her hands out, snapping her fingers and saying, "Dance with me, Henry." That afternoon, he went down to the gymnasium where he and 9 hesitant others were greeted enthusiastically by Miss Rohrbacher, the girls' physical ed teacher. Chuck was one of 3 boys. There were 7 girls. All the girls were taller. One of the boys, Paul Mulford, tried to creep out as soon as he realized he was the smallest kid there, coming in at 5 feet nothing. Miss Rohrbacher chased him down and hauled him back, laughing cheerfully. "No, no, no," she said. "You're mine now." So he was. So they all were. I'm gonna call her Miss R because that shit's too much. Miss R was the dance monster, and none could stand in her way. She fired up her boombox and showed them the waltz. Chuck knew it. The cha-cha-cha. Chuck knew it. The ball change. Chuck knew it. Then the samba. Chuck didn't know that one. But when Miss R put on Tequila by the Champs and showed them the basic moves, he got it at once and fell in love with her. He was by far the best dancer in the little club, so Miss R mostly put him with the girls who were clumsy. He understood she did it to make them better, and he was a good sport about it, but it was sort of boring. Near the end of their 45 minutes, however, the dance monster would show mercy and pair him with Kat McCoy, who was an 8th grader and the best dancer of the girls. Chuck didn't expect romance. Kat was not only gorgeous, she was 4 inches taller than he was, but he loved to dance with her, and the feeling was mutual. When they got together, they caught the rhythm and let it fill them. They looked into each other's eyes. She had to look down, which is a bummer, but hey, it was what it was, and laughed for the joy of it. Before letting the kids go, Miss R paired them up. 4 of the girls had to dance with each other and told them to freestyle. As they lost their inhibitions and awkwardness, they all got pretty good at it, although most of them were never going to dance at the Copacabana. One day, this was in October, only a week or so before the fall fling, Miss R put on Billie Jean. "Watch this," Chuck said, and did a very passable moonwalk. The kids oohed. Miss R's mouth dropped open. "Oh my God," Kat said. "Show me how you did that." He did it again. Kat tried, but the illusion of walking backward just wasn't there. "Kick off your shoes," Chuck said. "Do it in your socks, slide into it." Kat did. It was much better, and they all applauded. Miss R had a go. Then all of the others were moonwalking like crazy. Even Dylan Masterson, the clumsiest of them, got into it. Twirlers and spinners let out half an hour later than usual that day. Chuck and Kat walked out together. "We should do it at the fling," she said. Chuck, who hadn't been planning on going, stopped and looked at her with his eyebrows raised. "Not as a date or anything," Kat hastened on. "I'm going out with Dougie Wentworth." This Chuck knew. "But that doesn't mean we couldn't show them some cool moves. I want to, don't you?" "I don't know," Chuck said. "I'm a lot shorter. I think people would laugh." "Got you covered," Kat said. "My brother got a pair of Cuban heels, and I think they'd fit you. You've got a big feet for a little kid." "Thanks a bunch," Chuck said. She laughed and gave him a sisterly hug. After that, I don't even know why I said after that. I'm reading too fast. At the next meeting of Twirlers and Spinners, Kat McCoy brought her brother's Cubans, I'm going to say Cubanas. Chuck, who had already endured slights to his manhood for being in the dance club, was prepared to hate them, but it was love at first sight. The heels were high, the toes were pointed, and they were a black-ass midnight in Moscow. They looked a lot like the ones Bo Diddley wore back in the day. So, okay, they were a little big, but toilet paper stepped into those pointy toes and took care of that. Best of all, man, they were slick. During freestyle, when Miss R put on Caribbean Queen, the gym floor felt like ice. You put scratches on that floor, the janitors will beat your butt, Tammy Underwood said. She was probably right, but there was no scratches. He was too light on his feet to leave any. Okay, Chuck was a little sly thing. Chuck went to stag to the fall fling, which turned out just fine because all the girls from Twirlers and Spinners wanted to dance with him, especially Kat, because her boyfriend Dougie Wentworth had 2 left feet and spent most of the evening slouched against the wall with his buddies, all of them sucking up punch and watching the dancers with lordly sneers. Kat kept asking him when they were going to do their stuff, and Chuck kept putting her off. He said he'd know the right tune when he heard it. It was his bubby he was thinking of. Around 9 o'clock, half an hour or so before the dance was scheduled to end, the right tune came up. It was Jackie Wilson singing Higher and Higher. Chuck strutted to Kat with his hands out. She kicked off her shoes, and with Chuck and her brother's Cubans, they were at least close to the same height. They went out on the floor, and when they did a double moonwalk that cleared it, the kids made a circle around them and began clapping. Miss R, one of the chaperones, was among them, clapping along with the rest and shouting, "Go, go, go!" They did, as Jackie Wilson shouted that happy gospel teen tune. They danced like Fred Astaire. Ginger Rogers, Gene Kelly, and Jennifer Beals all rolled up into one. They finished with Kat spinning first one way, then the other, then collapsing backward into Chuck's arms with her own held out in a dying swan. He went down in a split that miraculously didn't rip the crotch out of his pants. 200 kids cheered when Kat turned her head and put a kiss on the corner of Chuck's mouth. One more time, some kids shouted, but Chuck and Kat shook their heads. They were young, but smart enough to know when to quit. The best cannot be topped. I'm surprised whatchamacallit didn't try to beat Chuck up. Because why did she kiss him like that? 6 months before he died of a brain tumor at the unfair age of 39. Okay, so he died of a brain tumor. And while his mind was still working, mostly, Chuck told his wife the truth about the scar on the back of his hand. It wasn't a big deal and hadn't been a big lie, but he'd reached a time in his rapidly diminishing life when it seemed important to clear the books. The only time she asked about it, it really was a small scar. He told her that he had gotten it from a boy named Doug Wentworth, who was pissed about him. What is this word? Cavorting? With his girlfriend at a middle school dance and pushed him into a chain link fence outside the gymnasium. What actually happened? Guinea asked. Not because it was important to her, but because it seemed to be important to him. She didn't care much about whatever had happened to him in middle school. The doctor said he'd probably be dead before Christmas. That was what mattered to her. When their fabulous dance was over and the DJ put on another, more recent tune, Kat McCoy had run to her girlfriends, who giggled and shrieked and hugged her with a fervency of which only 13-year-old girls may be capable. Chuck was sweaty and so hot, his cheeks felt on the verge of catching fire. He was also euphoric. All he wanted in that moment was darkness, cool air, and to be by himself. He walked past Dougie and his friends, who paid absolutely no attention to him, like a boy in a dream, pushed through the door at the back of the gym, and walked out into the paved half-court. That cool air doused the fire in his cheeks, but not the euphoria. He looked up, saw a million stars, and understood that for each one of those million, there was another million behind it. The universe is large, he thought. It contains multitudes. It also contains me. And in this moment, I am wonderful. I have a right to be wonderful. He moonwalked under the basketball hoop, moving to the music inside. When he made his little confession to Guinea, he could no longer remember what that music had been. But for the record, it was Steve Miller Band, jet airliner. And then twirled his arms outstretched as if to embrace everything. There was pain in his right hand, not big pain, just your basic ouch. But it was enough to bring him out of his joyous elevation of spirit and back to earth. He saw that the back of his hand was bleeding. While he was doing his whirling dervish bit under the stars, his outflung hand had struck the chain link fence and protruding jet of wire had cut him. It was a superficial wound, hardly enough to merit a band-aid. It left a scar, though, a tiny white crescent scar. Why would you lie about that? Guinea asked. She was smiling as she picked up his hand and kissed the scar. I could understand it if you'd gone on to tell me how you beat the big bully to a pulp, but you never said that. No, he'd never said that, and he'd never had a bit of trouble with Dougie Wentworth. For one thing, he was a cheerful enough galoot. For another, Chuck Krantz was a 7th grade midget unworthy of notice. Whoa. Why had he told the lie, then, if not to cast himself as the hero of a fictional story? Because the scar was important for another reason, because it was part of the story he couldn't tell, even though there was now an apartment building standing on the side of a Victorian house where he had done most of his growing up, the haunted Victorian house. The scar meant more, so he made it more. He just couldn't make it as much more as it really was. That made a little sense, but as the glioblastoma continued its blitzkrieg? How can I read the word glioblastoma but not the other word? It was the best his disintegrating why can't I say this word right now? Disintegrating mind could manage. He had finally told her the truth of how the scar actually happened and what would have to do. Oh my god, that was so hard for me to read just now. Chuck's grandpa, his Zadie, died of a heart attack 4 years after the fall fling dance. Damn, everybody just dropping after him. It happened while Albie was climbing the steps of the public library to return a copy of The Grapes of Wrath, which he said was every bit as good as he remembered. Chuck was a junior in high school, singing in a band and dancing like Jagger during the instrumental breaks. Grandpa left him everything. The estate, once quite large, had shrunk considerably over the years since Grandpa's early retirement, but there was still enough to pay for Chuck's college education. Later on, the sale of the Victorian paid for the house, small but in a good neighborhood with a lovely back room for a nursery. He and Virginia moved into after their honeymoon in the Catskills. What the fuck is a Catskills? As a new hire at Midwest Trust, a humble teller. He never could have bought the place without Grandpa's inheritance. Chuck flatly refused to move to Omaha to live with his mother's parents. I love you guys, he said, but this is where I grew up and where I want to stay until I go to college. I'm 17, not a baby. So they, both long retired, came to him and stayed in the Victorian with him for the 20 months or so before Chuck went off to the University of Illinois. They weren't able to be there for the funeral and burial, however. It happened fast, as Grandpa had wanted, and his mom's folks had loose ends to tie up in Omaha. Chuck didn't really miss them. He was surrounded by friends and neighbors he knew much better than his mother's Goy parents. A day before they were scheduled to arrive, Chuck finally opened a manila envelope that had been sitting on the table in front of the hall. It was from Ebert Holloway. funeral parlor. Inside were Albie Cran's personal effects, at least those that had been in his pockets when he collapsed on the library steps. You believe it's located in upstate New York? Oh, the book? Yeah, that's one of the locations. One of the locations is Boston, one of the locations is New York, and then one of the locations is like in the middle of the fucking country. But I don't remember what part, like what country part. We'll get there. I'm sure it'll double back to that. Okay. No, the Catskills, it's mountain range. Yeah, I just didn't know how to say it. But yeah, that part is in New York. Excuse me. Chuck dumped the envelope out on the table. There was a rattle of coins, a few Hall's cough drops, a pocket knife, the new cell phone Grandpa had barely had a chance to use, and his wallet. Chuck picked up the wallet, smelled its old limp leather, kissed it, and cried a little. He was an orphan now for sure. There was also Grandpa's key ring. Chuck slipped this over the index finger of his right hand, the one with the crescent-shaped scar, and climbed the short and shadowy flight of stairs to the cupola. This last time he did more than rattle the Yale padlock. After some searching, he found that right key and unlocked it. He left the lock hanging from the hasp and pushed the door open, wincing at the sequel of the old, uncoiled hinges, ready for anything. He's bold right now. I'm sorry. He's real bold right now. Oh, it says, but there was nothing. The room was empty. It was small, circular, no more than 14 feet in diameter, maybe less. On the far side of it was a single wide window caked with dirt for years. Although the day was sunny, the light let in a bleary diffuse. My bad that the camera is. Sorry. Where was I? Okay. Standing on the threshold, Chuck put out a foot and toed the boards like a boy testing the water of a pond to see if it was cold. There was no creak, no give. He stepped in ready to leap back the moment he felt the floor start to sag, but it was solid. He walked across to the window and leaving footprints in the thick fall of dust. Grandpa had been lying about the rotted floor, but about the view he had been dead on. It really wasn't much. Chuck could see the shopping center beyond, the green belt, and beyond that, an Amtrak train moving toward the city, pulling a stump tail of 5 passenger cars at this time of day. With the morning commuter rush over, there would be few riders. Chuck stood at the window until the train was gone, then followed his footprints back to the door. As he turned to close it, he saw a bed in the middle of the circular room. It was a hospital bed. There was a man in it. He appeared to be unconscious. There were no machines, but Chuck could hear one just the same going beep, beep, beep. Probably not doing it right. A heart monitor, maybe. There was a table beside the bed. On it were various lotions and a pair of black-framed glasses. The man's eyes were closed. One hand lay outside the coverlet. Chuck observed the crescent-shaped scar on the back of it with no surprise. In this room, Chuck's grandpa, his Zadie, had seen his wife lying dead. The loaves of bread she would pull off the shelves when she went down scattered all around her. "It's the waiting, Chucky," he'd said. "That's the hard part." Now his own waiting would begin. How long would that wait be? How old was the man in the hospital bed? Chuck started back into the cupola for a closer look, but the vision was gone. No man, no hospital bed, no table. There was one final faint bip from the unseen monitor. Then that was gone too. The man did not fade. As ghostly apparitions did in movies, he was just gone, insisting he had never been there in the first place. He wasn't, Chuck thought. I will insist that he wasn't. and I will live my life until my life runs out. I am wonderful, I deserve to be wonderful, and I contain multitudes. He closed the door and snapped the lock shut. Not he saw himself dead. Or, well, yeah, he saw himself dying, for sure. Dang. Okay, well, I read that whole chapter. Finally at the 3rd chapter, which I've been longing for. Fucking finally. Yay! You guys enjoying it? Because I am. Who fell asleep while I was reading? Who fell asleep while I was reading? I'm so glad. I've been trying to read that whole chapter. Not for a long ass time because I just got the book. I just got the book Wednesday. It doesn't even seem like I'm halfway, but this is as much as I've read. Y'all sleep, huh? That should put me to sleep. Baby boy. It's a baby boy. It is a baby boy. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, baby. Yes, you are. Yes, you are a baby boy. A baby boy. Oh, I don't have my ASMR microphone on, sorry. I was just reading, yeah, I don't, I can't. I'm not eating anything. Sorry. Sorry.